Hey everyone, RogueGold here. Welcome back to the Division 2. And today, I want to talk endgame blueprints and blueprint farming. As I'm sure many of you know, there are a million different farming videos out there online. How to farm this item, best farm for this type of gear. But what's not covered nearly as often is blueprints, right? For veteran players, we collected these years ago. We get to use them whenever we like. But for those of you who may be newer or just never went through the trouble, the path to obtaining the various endgame blueprints may not be so clear. And there are a lot, from mods to gear and so much more. The main reason why I'm making this video now is that blueprint farming has become quite revolutionized in the recent months. I did a video maybe 2 years ago diving into the different obscure ways to farm some of them. However, much of that has now been made completely irrelevant, as we now have one mode that allows you to pull from multiple different blueprint pools. So I want to be clear, the farm that we're going to cover in this video will not get you every single blueprint within the game, but it is by far the best method that you can do as far as time efficiency and for acquiring common and rare blueprints alike. So we're going to dive into it all. If you enjoy this one and you want to catch my future guides and coverage on the Division 2 in the future, then be sure to subscribe. A huge shout out and thank you to our channel members. As always, your support directly enables me to keep doing what I love on here, which is amazing. Thank you so much. But without further ado, let's get into this farm. Actually, before getting to the farm itself, and I promise this will be quick, but it's important, in case you are brand new to the endgame or just blueprints and crafting in general, then I need to point you in the direction of Anaya, who is the go-to blueprint vendor at the base. You can find her just off to the left from the main entrance of the White House, and if you've never visited her before, you're likely going to see a ton of different blueprints you can buy. I can't represent that very well on screen here, as I've been playing this account for many years, but aside from maybe one or two specific blueprints, which are more like account unlocks that she offers, those will let you share resources and currency with all of your characters instead of having individual pools for each. You can decide if you want those specific ones or not, but pretty much everything else that she offers is an automatic purchase. A lot of blueprints here will be free, some are paid but usually only cost a few thousand credits, and specifically there are a few things that we will be taking a look at later in the video that require you to first purchase them from Anaya. So if you get to that point in the video and you say, I don't have that, check her inventory. Additionally, as you progress in the endgame and collect more gear, her inventory will repopulate with new things like exotic reconfiguration blueprints. There's a weekly rotation she offers, which will cut down on how much grinding you will need to do of the farm outlined in this video. The bottom line is that Anaya supplements everything else that we're covering today, so utilize her accordingly. Okay, so the secret to this entire video, the one and only mode you are going to need to focus on in order to maximize blueprint farming efficiency, it's retaliations. Retaliations got added less than 6 months ago to the game, and the reason that they're so good for blueprint farming in particular is that their design means that 3 distinct blueprint pools converge under one roof. Previously, you had to farm Descent for rare named item blueprints, grind control points for mods, no more. As stated before, this one mode will get you the majority of the important endgame blueprints that you need. It's also just a great mode for farming in general. It shares the targeted loot selector feature that Countdown and Summit do. So although this video is focusing in on blueprints, retaliations are also one of the best places that you can spend your time farming for gear in general, so it's a win-win. Now, again, this video is going to focus in on targeting blueprints specifically, how to make the most of acquiring them each run. We are not so much going to cover how to play retaliations, as I'm guessing a decent number of you watching already know. In case you don't, though, no worries, as I have a full guide here on the channel covering just that. It goes over how to queue them up, the mechanics of the mode, any other intricacies in between, so that'll be linked right near the top of the description in case you need it. So, as mentioned, 3 different blueprint pools that you get to pull from by playing retaliations, and let's just go down the list one by one so that you have all of the information that you need. The first pool, if you will, is the largest of the 3, and that is blueprints for a wide selection of the game's mods, high-end gear and weapons, and gear sets. You get awarded one of these blueprints each time that you complete a level 3 or 4 control point. And, as you can likely piece together, retaliation is essentially a control point gauntlet mode. So you're going to be getting a lot of blueprints from this pool. Now, you might have heard me mention that this requires tier 3 or 4 control points specifically. That means that in order to be eligible for this pool, you will need to at minimum play on challenging difficulty, so keep that in mind. But yeah, not much to this one. Simply play retaliations, and quite quickly, you'll begin racking these up. The next pool, and arguably the most rare and desirable one, is that of named items. Now, these used to be pretty darn elusive. They drop exclusively from caches called reconstructed caches, which originally only came from the Descent game mode and only consistently from getting pretty far into Descent, which was a feat on its own. Then they started popping up in a few more places. Some limited time project chains would offer them every now and then, but it was the introduction of retaliations when these really became much more accessible. What you have to do to get them is take the retaliation specific materials and currency that you earn, convert that into a universal currency, and then purchase the caches from the crafting station. Sounds complex, but I promise you, it's not that bad. To start, visit any of the game's crafting stations, and down here at the bottom, you're looking for a category called exotics. Once within that, click to tab through the categories, because there's a lot of them, and the two that you want are at the very bottom. They're called retaliation materials and caches. Under caches, they're right here, reconstructed caches. However, they cost 7 broken shade watches to craft and acquire. Now, if you navigate back up one, you can get broken shade watches by converting the faction specific materials that you earn while playing retaliations. If you do not see these blueprints that are on screen, then somebody didn't visit Anaya like I recommended, so be sure to do that to pick these up. But yeah, let's take hyenas for example. Playing hyena retaliations earns you crystallized spice. You earn some for defeating kill squads, successfully completing a retaliation. Once you rack up 25 of whichever faction's materials, there is a blueprint here to convert that to broken shade watches. You just need to get 7 of those, come back to craft a reconstructed cache, and there you go. You're now getting a consistent stream of pool number 2 as well. Alright, last up, the third and final blueprints pool is exotic blueprints. It's worth noting that these are not reconfiguration blueprints. We touched on those earlier, but Anaya will sell these to you as you unlock new exotics throughout your journey, and they allow for you to re-roll exotic items that you already have. The blueprints we're talking about here allow you to craft exotic items from scratch, and that serves as a means to bypass the RNG grind if you're just not having luck via the traditional methods. Obviously, this will be most beneficial to newer players, but it is a blueprint type nonetheless, so let's cover it. These actually got added alongside retaliations. They are exclusive to this mode, unlike the other two pools, which are just most convenient to farm here. You will need to play retaliations if you want these to see what's available and view all of the blueprints, because no, there are not ones available for items like the Eagle Bear, the Tinkerer, some other rare items. You're going to want to go back to the crafting station, navigate down to that exotic category that we took a look at in the previous section, and all of the blueprints that you see listed out are earnable in retaliations. As far as how to get them, each one has a specific drop source within the mode. This handy chart was put out when retaliations released. It shows you exactly where each item comes from. Let's take the Lady Death blueprint, for example. As you can see, that exclusively drops from True Sun's kill squads. So you'd want to fill up the True Sun's agitation meter, head in, make sure you're then taking out any kill squads that you come across. On the other hand, if you look at the Vile blueprint, that exclusively has a chance to be a completion bonus reward for successfully taking all the control points in the mode before the time expires. Those are the two different drop sources on this chart, kill squads and completion bonuses, and this should neatly lay out which ones come from where and are tied to which faction. Something that's worth noting though is that each season that we progress moving forward, more and more items and blueprints will get added to this pool as new exotics get released each season. That chart only covers the ones that were available at the launch of the retaliations mode, so in case you do not see the one that you're looking for, you can always visit the bench, navigate to the gear category that it is in, and if it's locked, it will tell you what faction's retaliation you need to focus on. The final thing to mention on these, if we go back to the chart, a few of these are tied to the Cleaners and Rikers, which are DLC exclusive factions within New York City and Brooklyn. In case you don't own those DLCs, but you still want the blueprints, no worries. What you're going to want to do is go back to the bench, find your way to exotics, and then all the way at the bottom, alongside reconstructed caches that we previously looked at, you'll find New York Kill Squad cache. Per opening, these caches will award you with one exotic blueprint from that Cleaners and Rikers DLC exclusive pool. You will need to use the same broken shade watch conversion system to get these, just like we took a look at in the last section. Although this time you're going to then use that universal currency to buy amounts of the Cleaners and Rikers materials, which should be Burning Ash and Cross Balaclavas. From there, you can then buy the New York Kill Squad caches. But yeah, I just wanted to note that base game players are not barred from picking those ones up. Well, there you have it, my friends. That just about wraps up the discussion on what is the best endgame blueprint farm in the Division 2 in 2026. Because whereas these things used to be a lot more scattered and confusing, you can now farm retaliations to your heart's content, and you should be seeing a pretty consistent stream of new blueprints. That's not to say it's perfect, right? There are still some obscure blueprints missing out there, or ones that come from other sources, but especially as a new player or someone trying to start filling their collection, this is the best way to spend your time. Going to be getting a lot of good stuff. So more than anything, I hope this video was helpful and informative. At this point, I would love to hear any and all thoughts that you may have down below, whether it's lingering questions after watching through. I'll do my best to clear things up, or if you have any additional thoughts or advice on either blueprint farming in general or the specific retaliation farm that we outlined here. That's all I've got for today, though. Thank you all so much for coming and watching, and until I see you next, RogueGold. Ow. Oh! We just got a Ravenous! Haha!
I might not be friendly.
Let's go.
Coming to the Division 2.
Let's go!
And